You guys ever have one of those days where you're at work and you're like, you know what? I don't want to do what I have to do. Let's have some fun. So this is one of those days. So this is a rolling chassis out of a 73 Corvette, and the frame is actually sold and going to Australia. So what I have to do is I have to pull the engine, the transmission, the front suspension, and rear suspension all out in order to get it ready. But I was looking at it, not wanting to do that, of course. And I'm like, you know what? This is a perfect time to see if this motor is any good. So this motor came out of the 73. I don't think its numbers matching or anything like that. But it's like a perfect engine cradle right here to see if it's any good or if it's, you know, a boat anchor. Might as well do it now while it's here and everything's easily accessible. Then do it later when I have to put it on a run stand and X, Y, and Z thing. So the only thing I really have done, I took the water pump off and the brackets off. I'm not going to run it for a long time, but there's a couple things that we do need to do in order to make sure that it will run. So the first thing I plan on doing is I need to see if this will turn by hand. That's going to be item number 1, and then from there probably pop the valve covers off. I need to put a distributor in it. I need to find a carburetor for it. I need to find spark plugs for it. But other than that, that's about it. This motor's been sitting with no spark plugs in it for who knows how long. Luckily it was inside for at least the whole time that the previous owner had it. So as of right now, it's turning over. We'll do 2 rotations, which will be 1 complete rotation. Alright, so it turns over pretty good. I'm not going to bother to lube the cylinders or anything like that, since it turns over so nicely. Let's pop a valve cover off, see what we got. I'm taking off this number 1, or this, I guess, the driver's side valve cover, because when I put the distributor in, I need to know where the engine is so I can put it in the right spot. Why is there a nut on there? Alright, not too bad. Everything is kind of loose. But that could be because the piston, the lifters are not pumped up. But we'll see. There's all kinds of junk in here. But anyway, what I need to do is I need to rotate the engine so that I can put a distributor in it. So basically we're going to be watching, this is your number 1 intake valve and this is your number 1 exhaust valve. So what we want is to turn the engine over until this closes. Then that means this piston is on compression stroke, and we'll watch our line on our harmonic balancer. Put it as close to about 10 degrees before top dead center as we can, and let's just see how it goes. So intake is opening, intake is closing. I'm going to go around one more time just to make sure. Watch all the other valves too, and that right there is the exhaust opening. So now we're going to rotate the engine backwards. Get the exhaust to close. Get the line to line up. And right there is where we're at. And from here you can kind of verify that, I mean, I can feel the piston. This screwdriver doesn't go down. So right there we're at the right spot, so that's good. Now, let's throw in a distributor. So this isn't something I normally do, but I mean, I have the tool right here and it'll take literally 5 seconds to do. So this is an old distributor that I've made an oil priming tool out of. Basically, you just cut off the top and you leave the shaft exposed like that. put it down in the block, and then you run it with a drill, and then pump up the engine. Get some oil into some of the lifters, and hopefully to some of the top end. It is pretty dry. It's not as dry as I've seen in the past, but it can always help. So we're going to do that, and hopefully we'll see some signs of life from this oil pump. So this normal distributor, you can see it has the gear that runs on the cam. This has obviously been removed, so it's pretty much just a straight down drop. It doesn't matter how you put it in, other than you got to get this little key lined up with the oil pump. And you'll know that you don't have it lined up if it doesn't drop down all the way. So right now, I can't spin it, so that means we're good. Ugh. Alright, so we have our first casualty. I spun it, and then this oil pressure line pooped all over my floor. So let's cap that off first before we do anything. But that's a good sign. We have oil pressure coming out of the sender, so that's good. Let's see if we can't get anything up on the rocker arm. So I spin it backwards, you can hear like bubbles. It means it's going the wrong way. It's pumping air. So I spin it this way. And my drill battery ran out. That's So I haven't gotten anything out of the top end yet, but the lifters have to spin in order to get oil up through these push rods. But I will tell you what, other than this one, all the rest of these rocker arms are a lot more solid than they were before. So that means that some of the lifters are pumping up. So we're going to go ahead and call that good enough, and then we'll move on to dropping the distributor and putting spark plugs to it. Here's the distributor that I'm going to be using. It's just a off-the-shelf parts distributor that was upstairs. Hopefully it's good. I'm going to take the cap off. And the way we're going to do this is, so we're going to make number 1. You can make number 1 anywhere on this that you want. We're going to put number 1, let's put it right here. So basically right in front of where these numbers start is where that's going to be. Sure, it doesn't look too good inside, but it is what it is. So the way that this works is it'll slide into the cam, and then the rotor will kind of move like that. So we want to position the rotor a little bit to the left, and then we need to line up the oil pump shaft. It's kind of best done with a really long flat blade screwdriver. You reach in there and turn it, and you should be good. That bottom part needs this little key needs to line up with what's in there. One, our top dead center, and we can clamp it down, put the cap on, and put spark plugs in. So this side was hiding some treasures. You might recognize these valve covers off the 72 Camaro I did last year. I keep them around because I cut a hole in them, and they're great for watching rockers move as an engine is running. But check this out. We had a little buddy that was living in this rocker. Where his nest went, I don't know, but hopefully he's not still in there. But we'll vacuum all that crap out, literally, and move on to fuel. So I was getting really excited. Got my battery out, my jumper cables, and it's gonna hook it up to the starter, and well, that's what I find. So the starter's broken. I think probably what happened is it tried lifting the body off without disconnecting it, and the cable broke it. This is what it's supposed to look like. So I'm going to first try and just replace the solenoid and not the whole starter. The only reason is those headers are super in the way, and I don't see how I can get the bolts out without removing the headers. I don't know if they'll drop enough to actually clear the block. So we're going to do the solenoid for now. Here's one I got out of the parts. Now it's pretty self-explanatory. It basically just bolts on in the back and in the front. And yeah, it should just come right off, hopefully. It turned out to be easier just to take the cap off the good solenoid and put it on the old one. But I have my battery hooked up to it, and this is my starter switch basically. So big screwdriver jumping the battery connection to the solenoid. We might need a booster. That battery's kind of low. Now I'm going to attach a wire to the distributor for spark. I'll put some starter fluid in and see what happens. I don't think that's going to turn over fast enough. Okay. That's not going fast enough. Starter sucks.